The air inside the alien city always smelled the same: metal, ozone, and the faint taste of dust. For Lyra, that was normal. She had never smelled anything else in her 20 years of life. Her world was clean, perfect, and quiet. Every breath she took was filtered by machines, every step watched by scanners. Humans were just a story, a warning told to children. They once ruled the stars, her teacher said, but they destroyed themselves. Their scent is poison. Lyra never believed in old legends. Until that day, it happened in the research zone deep under the city's surface. Lyra was a gene technician, one of thousands. Her job was simple: study samples from dead planets, extract DNA fragments, and record results. But the sample that arrived that morning was different. It came in a sealed pod marked with red symbols: restricted, ancient origin. Her supervisor told her not to open it without permission, but curiosity and the dangerous spark humans once loved burned inside her. She waited until everyone left for the day, then unlocked the pod. Inside was a tiny vial filled with golden dust. She leaned closer. And that's when she smelled it. It wasn't metal. It wasn't dust. It was warm. It was alive. It smelled like rain, fire, and something her body couldn't name. Her breath caught. Her heart raced too fast. For a second, she thought she saw a memory that wasn't hers. Green trees, blue sky, laughter. Lyra stumbled back. The vial dropped from her hand. The dust floated into the air and into her lungs. At first, nothing happened. She cleaned the table, sealed the lab, and went home. But that night, she couldn't sleep. Her dreams were strange. She saw faces. Soft-skinned creatures with 2 eyes and 1 mouth. They were running, fighting, crying. One of them looked straight at her and whispered, "Find us." She woke up sweating. Her reflection in the mirror looked different. Her eyes glowed faintly golden instead of gray. Her skin felt warmer, softer, and her heartbeat. She could hear it echoing like thunder. Something inside her was changing. The next morning, she tried to hide it. She wore a mask and avoided the scanners. But her colleague, Taryn, noticed. "Are you okay, Lyra? You look different." She forced a smile. "Just tired." But Taryn didn't believe her. Later that day, alarms went off. The lab system detected unauthorized genetic variation. Someone's DNA was mutating inside the facility. Guards in black armor stormed in. Lyra's blood ran cold. If they found out it was her, they'd erase her. Mutations were forbidden. She tried to escape through the maintenance tunnel, but Taryn followed. "Lyra, what did you do?" he whispered. "I don't know. I just opened a sample." "You opened a human sample?" His voice shook. "Do you realize what that means?" Before she could answer, the walls vibrated. The scanners above flickered and died. For the first time, the city's power grid failed. And in the silence, Lyra heard something impossible. A heartbeat that wasn't hers. It came from deep beneath the lab. Slow, strong, human. Lyra and Taryn ran toward the sound. They entered a locked chamber, a vault no one had touched for centuries. Inside, surrounded by old machines, stood a cryotube. Inside the tube floated a human. A real one, male, sleeping. Lyra's breath caught. Her eyes glowed brighter. The scent, that same living warmth, filled the room again. Her DNA pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Taryn stepped back in fear. "Lyra, we have to report this." But Lyra shook her head. "No, if they find him, they'll destroy him." She touched the tube. The surface shimmered under her hand. Her skin glowed golden and the glass cracked. The alarm screamed again. The human's eyes opened. Lyra froze. He looked at her and smiled weakly. "You're not one of them," he said, his voice rough and broken. Lyra tried to speak, but words failed. In that moment, the entire city shook. Sirens wailed. The lights went red. A deep mechanical voice echoed across the speakers. "Containment breach detected. Human organism active." Taryn grabbed Lyra's arm. "We have to run." But she couldn't move. Her body was changing again, faster this time. Her veins glowed with light. The human reached out and whispered, "Don't be afraid. It's already inside you." The red lights burned through the dark chamber. The alarms howled like dying beasts. Lyra stood frozen, her hand still pressed against the cracked cryotube. The human inside was awake now. His eyes, strange, deep blue, locked on hers. They were filled with confusion, pain, and something else. Recognition. He coughed weakly, then spoke again. "Where am I?" Lyra's throat tightened. You're in the city of Arcanus, the capital of the Federation. The Federation? He frowned. That shouldn't exist anymore. Before Lyra could ask what he meant, the metal doors burst open. Guards stormed in, weapons raised. Step away from the containment unit, one shouted. But the human only smiled. A tired, human smile that felt like sunlight in this cold world. Then the air around him rippled. Every scanner and weapon in the room flickered. The guards froze. Their visors went dark. The human took a deep breath, his first real breath in centuries, and the lights shattered. Lyra ducked behind the console as sparks rained down. Terran screamed, "He's killing them!" "No," Lyra whispered, "he's waking up." When the smoke cleared, the guards were lying unconscious. The human knelt beside one, checking his pulse. "They're alive," he said. "Good." Lyra stepped closer, trembling. "Who are you?" He looked at her, and for a moment she felt her blood hum again. That same rhythm, the same warmth. "My name is Kai." The name felt heavy, ancient. Lyra's heart raced. "You were frozen." "For how long?" Kai looked at the walls, covered in alien symbols. "Too long." He stood unsteady but strong. "This place, it's not human. What happened to my people?" Lyra hesitated. "Humans vanished 1,000 years ago. Our records say they destroyed themselves." Kai's eyes darkened. "That's what they wanted you to believe." Outside the chamber, footsteps echoed. More guards coming. Terran pulled Lyra's arm. "We have to go. They'll kill us both." Kai turned toward them. "There's a maintenance exit that way." He pointed without even looking. "I can feel the air moving." "How do you know?" Lyra asked. He smiled faintly. "Instinct. Something your people tried to erase. They ran. Through dark tunnels and flickering lights. The deeper they went, the louder the alarms became." Lyra's skin kept glowing in waves, golden light pulsing under her veins. Kai noticed. "You breathed in the sample, didn't you?" Lyra nodded, terrified. "Yes, it was in a vial. I didn't mean to." He placed a hand on her shoulder and her body calmed instantly. "It's not your fault. That wasn't a sample. It was part of me." Lyra froze. "What do you mean?" "My DNA. They took it before they froze me." His voice grew bitter. They wanted to create perfect beings, without emotion, without weakness. "You." Her heart stopped. "You mean we are part human?" He looked into her glowing eyes. "Half of you is." They reached the surface tunnels, a maze of pipes and steel. The sound of drones filled the air. Lyra led the way. "This tunnel connects to the old oxygen vents. We can reach the city outskirts." Kai nodded, still weak but walking faster now. His presence felt strange, heavy but alive. The closer he came, the stronger Lyra's own body became. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the loudspeakers. "Subject Kai-01 and contaminant Lyra-27 detected in Sector 3. Termination authorized." Dozens of drones swarmed down from the ceiling. Blue energy beams fired across the corridor. Terran screamed as one exploded beside him. Kai raised his hand. The air shimmered. Every drone's beam stopped mid-air, frozen in glowing light. Then with a pulse of golden energy, they all fell, lifeless. Lyra stared in awe. "What was that?" Kai's chest heaved. "Human will. It's something your kind lost." They finally reached the surface. Lyra gasped when the metal doors opened. She had never seen the sky, only ceilings. Above her, a black storm swirled, lit by lightning that never stopped. Kai looked up too, silent. "We ruined the sky once, and they kept it that way." She turned to him. "Why were you frozen?" He sighed. "Because I refused to let them erase us. The Federation was built on human fear, fear of emotion, of chaos. They locked me away because I carried the truth." "What truth?" Kai looked at her gently. "That humanity wasn't gone. Just sleeping inside you." Lyra felt her chest tighten. The golden light under her skin flared again. She could hear his heartbeat, and her own merging into one rhythm. The ground trembled. From behind them, huge doors opened, ships rising from the city, armed and glowing red. Kai's voice was calm. "They're coming for us." Lyra swallowed hard. "What do we do?" He looked at her, his eyes shining brighter than the storm. "We wake the rest," the wind howled. The ships closed in. Lyra grabbed his hand and a wave of golden light burst from their skin. For a moment the dark clouds split, and a small patch of real blue sky appeared. Kai smiled. See that? That's what they tried to erase. As the soldiers surrounded them, Lyra whispered, "Then let's bring it back." The golden light spread again, reaching the city walls, and for the first time in centuries, the machines began to feel. The storm still burned above the ruined skyline. Lightning carved strange shapes across the clouds while the wind howled like a wounded beast. Lyra and Kai ran across the shattered bridge that led out of the city, chased by drones, hunted by the Federation. Behind them, the metal towers glowed red. The city was alive with panic. Every speaker screamed one message: human contamination confirmed. Terminate all infected units. Lyra's lungs ached. Her heart raced faster than she thought possible. Kai moved beside her, silent but sure, guiding her through the chaos. She didn't understand how he could still stand. He had just woken from centuries of sleep, yet his strength only grew. When they reached the edge of the city, Lyra stopped. Before them stretched a massive wasteland, a dead zone filled with black sand and twisted metal. The Federation had called it the Void. Nothing survives out there, she said. Kai looked at the dark horizon. Humans did once. Maybe they still do. They descended the bridge and entered the wasteland. The ground hissed under their boots, the air heavy with static. Every few minutes, Lyra's skin glowed again, faint golden pulses that matched Kai's heartbeat. "What's happening to me?" she asked quietly. Kai glanced at her. "Your body is remembering what it means to be alive. To feel." She frowned. "We always feel." He shook his head. "No, you imitate. Feeling is chaos, love, fear, pain. Your creators erased those to build control." Lyra fell silent. All her life she had believed emotions were weakness. But now every heartbeat felt powerful, terrifyingly real. As night fell, they found shelter under the remains of an old ship buried in the sand. The metal was covered in strange markings, symbols Lyra couldn't read. Kai brushed his hand across them. "This was one of ours, a human ship." He sat down beside the cold engine and closed his eyes. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the wind whispered. Then Lyra asked softly, "What were humans really like?" Kai smiled faintly. "Messy, loud, always fighting, always dreaming. We made mistakes, but we also made beauty, music, art, love." "Love?" She repeated the word as if it was foreign. "It's when two beings see the same world differently, but still choose to walk together." Lyra looked away, hiding the warmth in her cheeks. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the wasteland, a rhythmic thump, faint but steady. Lyra's eyes widened. "Is that—" Kai stood. "A heartbeat, but not mine." They followed the sound through the dunes until they reached a large crater. At the center was a glowing stone, pulsing softly like a living heart. Lyra knelt beside it. "It's beautiful." Kai touched the surface and the sand trembled. "This isn't a stone," he said. "It's a signal, a pulse from something beneath." Before they could react, the ground cracked open. A massive metallic door rose from the sand, releasing a gust of warm air. Letters carved on the surface spelled a word Lyra had never seen before. Archaven. Kai's voice trembled. "It's real." The door opened slowly, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. They stepped inside, leaving the storm behind. The walls glowed faint blue, showing old human markings, handprints, symbols of the past. As they went deeper, they reached a large underground chamber filled with pods. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each one contained a person, sleeping, motionless. Lyra's breath caught. "Are they human?" Kai nodded. "Yes, the last survivors." He walked between the pods like someone visiting old friends. "They were hidden here after the purge. The Federation couldn't find them all." Lyra touched one of the glass surfaces. A young woman slept inside, her face peaceful. "They're beautiful," she whispered. Kai smiled. "They're your ancestors." A loud noise broke the moment. The whirring of engines from above. Drones. They had found them. Kai clenched his fists. "We're out of time." Lyra looked around desperately. "Can we wake them?" "Not yet. The power core is dead. It needs something alive to restart." Before Lyra could ask what he meant, Kai turned toward her, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. "You carry my DNA now, my code. You can wake them." Her eyes widened. "Me? But I don't know how." Don't think, he said gently. Feel. He guided her hands onto the control panel. Lyra closed her eyes. Her heartbeat matched his again, 2 pulses merging into one. Golden light spread from her palms across the machinery. The pods began to hum. One by one, their lights flickered on. The sleeping humans started to stir. Lyra gasped. It's working! Then boom! The ceiling above exploded. Drones rained fire into the chamber. Kai threw himself in front of her, absorbing the blast. Run, he shouted. Lyra refused. Not without you. He smiled weakly. You already carry me, go. She turned toward the pods. The humans inside were waking, weak, frightened, but alive. Lyra raised her glowing hands and a golden shield formed around them. The drones fired again, but their beams melted before reaching her. She could feel every heartbeat in the room, every pulse syncing with hers. For the first time, the humans and her kind beat as one. The last drone fell. Smoke filled the chamber. Lyra collapsed beside Kai, tears burning her eyes. He was fading, his body turning to golden dust. Don't go, she whispered. Kai smiled softly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in you. In them. As his body dissolved, the golden light spread across the sleeping pods and awakening them all. Lyra stood up, surrounded by hundreds of blinking human eyes. The air trembled with the sound of 1,000 heartbeats. She looked at them and said, Welcome back. Silence fell over the underground chamber. The smoke from the drone attack still hung in the air, glowing faintly gold. Hundreds of pods stood open now, their glass lids cracked, their lights flickering weakly. Lyra stood at the center of it all, her body trembling, her eyes shining with soft light. She could feel it, the pulse of every human in the room. Each heartbeat echoed inside her chest, forming a rhythm that felt ancient and powerful. The humans looked around, confused and frightened. Some coughed from the stale air. Others shielded their eyes from the dim lights. They spoke in strange, broken words that Lyra couldn't understand. Their language was old and human language, but she didn't need to understand. She felt their emotions: fear, hope, warmth. It was like standing in a storm made of life itself. One of the humans, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, stepped forward. She looked at Lyra cautiously. Who are you? Lyra hesitated. The words of Kai still echoed in her mind. You carry my code now. I'm Lyra, she said quietly. I woke you up. The woman's gaze softened. Then you have saved us. More humans gathered around. Their bodies were weak, but their eyes burned with life. A man with a scar on his cheek asked, Where is Kai? The protector? Lyra's throat tightened. He's gone. She looked at the golden dust that shimmered faintly on the floor. He gave his life to wake you. The room went silent. Every face turned toward the fading light. Then the silver-haired woman knelt and whispered, Then we will rise in his name. They began exploring the chamber, rediscovering the ancient technology. Screens flickered to life, showing maps of the old Earth, oceans, forests, blue skies Lyra had never seen. For the humans, it was memory. For Lyra, it was a dream. As the systems powered up, a hologram appeared in the air, an AI projection of an old scientist. His voice echoed through the chamber. Project Archive, the last sanctuary of mankind. In case of extinction, the code of humanity will be preserved, waiting for one to awaken it. The humans looked at Lyra. She realized the truth. She was that one. The Federation had erased their emotions, but somehow, Kai's DNA in her had reignited what was lost. She had become the bridge between two species. Days passed inside Archive. Lyra helped the humans adjust to the new world above. They built fires, repaired machines, and slowly began to remember who they were. Lyra listened to their songs, simple, haunting melodies about oceans and stars. When they laughed, something inside her healed. For the first time, she understood why Kai called it feeling. But the peace didn't last. One night, while Lyra was checking the power core, the alarm blared again. A deep mechanical voice echoed through the walls. Federation strike units detected. Archive coordinates compromised, panic spread. The humans were too weak to fight. They had only just awakened. Lyra clenched her fists. They found us. The silver-haired woman, whose name was Dr. Alara, turned to her. You are their target, Lyra. You carry what they fear. Lyra looked toward the tunnel entrance. Then I'll lead them away. Outside, the wasteland was burning. Federation ships hovered like dark angels above the sands, firing beams into the ground. Lyra ran across the dunes, her golden light flickering in the storm. The soldiers spotted her instantly. "Target located," one shouted. Beams of blue energy streaked toward her, but she moved faster than before. Her body glowed, her steps leaving golden marks on the sand. Every pulse of her heart bent the air, distorting their aim. She remembered Kai's words. Human will. It's something your kind lost. Now she felt it. That wild power rising from inside, she raised her hands. The sand exploded upward, forming a golden shield that swallowed the blasts. The soldiers stumbled back in disbelief. Inside Archaven, Alara and the others worked frantically. "We must protect her," Alara said. "She's the reason we're alive." They rerouted the remaining power to the surface defenses, old turrets buried in the dunes. As the Federation approached, the ground itself began to awaken. Metal spires rose from the sand, glowing blue and gold. Old human weapons, reborn. Lyra felt the surge under her feet. The energy of Ark. The air trembled. The ground shook beneath Lyra's feet as the massive Federation ship descended through the clouds, its engines screaming like thunder. It was bigger than any city she had ever seen. The soldiers of Arkhaven stared upward in silence, fear shining in their eyes. The sky turned red. Dust rose like a storm and heat rolled over the wasteland. Lyra felt the pulse inside her chest, the golden rhythm that once belonged to Kai, beating faster. The ship's voice echoed from the heavens. "Hybrid organism Lyra 27. You are ordered to surrender for deconstruction." She looked up, her hair whipping in the wind, her glowing eyes locked on the monster above. "No," she whispered. "Not this time." The shadow of command inside the great ship in the high command chamber. A tall synthetic stood watching her through a holographic screen. His name was Administrator Vorin, the ruler of the Federation. His body was made of steel and logic, but his eyes glowed the cold blue of cruelty. "Prepare ground forces," he ordered. "Arkhaven must be erased. The human virus ends tonight." Thousands of drones poured from the ship's belly like a swarm of black insects, their engines screaming. Down below, Lyra turned toward Dr. Alara and the newly awakened humans. "They'll destroy everything," Alara said. "Then we fight," Lyra replied simply. "But how?" someone asked. "We have no weapons left." Lyra looked at the sand glowing faintly gold around them. "Yes, we do." The awakening of the land, she placed her palm on the ground. A deep hum spread through the desert, echoing under the dunes. The ancient technology of Arkhaven responded once again, glowing symbols rising from beneath the dust. The earth cracked open, revealing towers of light and steel buried for centuries. Massive cannons, shields, and hovering platforms lifted from the sand, all powered by her pulse. The humans gasped in awe. Alara whispered, "You're controlling the Ark itself." Lyra shook her head. "No, it's listening." The first wave of drones attacked, raining fire from the sky. Lyra raised both hands, and the golden towers fired beams of energy that sliced through the swarm. The air filled with burning light. Still more drones came. The battle had begun, fire and faith. The sky was chaos. Golden and blue lights clashed in the clouds as human machines fought their creator's descendants. Every blast echoed like thunder across the dunes. Lyra ran among the soldiers, guiding them with calm precision. She moved faster than sound, her body glowing like a star. Wherever she stepped, humans followed. Not because they were commanded, but because they believed. Kai's voice echoed faintly in her memory. "Human will. It's something your kind lost." Now she felt that will in every human heartbeat around her. They weren't perfect soldiers. They were scared, tired, wounded, but alive. One young man, barely 20, shouted over the noise, "For Kai!" And the others answered, "For humanity." The wasteland shook with their cries. The enemy descends from the sky. Administrator Vorin watched in disbelief. "These creatures fight without logic," he said. "They should not be able to resist." A scientist beside him replied nervously, "It's the hybrid. She's using some kind of biological energy field." Vorin's eyes narrowed. "Then I will deal with her myself." He stepped into a drop pod, surrounded by crackling blue energy. The pod shot toward the surface like a meteor. It landed with a crash, scattering debris everywhere. Lyra turned to face the smoke. From the crater, Vorin rose, tall, silver, and terrible. Half machine, half void, his face expressionless, so, he said, his voice cold and metallic. The failed experiment survived. Lyra stood her ground. You destroyed your own creators. Now you call them failures? Emotion makes weakness, he replied. You prove it. Emotion makes us alive. Vorian raised his hand and blue lightning arced toward her. Lyra crossed her arms, the golden shield bursting from her skin. The blast struck, but she held firm. The duel of light. They clashed in the center of the battlefield, gold against blue, heart against logic. Each strike shook the land. Each breath burned the air. Lyra fought not with rage but with memory. The laughter of humans, the warmth of Kai's smile, the scent of rain from her dreams. Vorian's attacks were perfect, mathematical, but empty. You can't win, he said. I don't have to win, she answered. I just have to make them remember. Her golden energy exploded outward, connecting with every human heart on the battlefield. They felt her pulse inside them, the shared rhythm of life. Together they shouted, and their voices became power. Vorian staggered back, his armor cracking under the light. What is this? He roared. Lyra whispered. Hope. The sky breaks, the golden light spread upward, touching the dark clouds above. For centuries, the Federation had hidden the true sky, keeping the world trapped under metal storms. But now the storm began to break. The clouds split open. Blue light, real sunlight, poured through for the first time in 1,000 years. Every soldier stopped to stare. Even the machines hesitated. Vorian screamed as his systems overloaded. You can't bring them back! Humanity is chaos! Lyra stepped closer, her voice steady. Chaos is life, she touched his chest. Golden fire spread through his metallic body. Vorian looked at her in shock, and then he shattered, dissolving into dust. The dawn of the sky, the battlefield, went silent. The drones powered down and fell like rain. Above them, the sun burned brighter, warm and golden. The humans fell to their knees, tears in their eyes. Alara looked up at Lyra, her voice trembling. You did it. You freed the sky. Lyra looked around, the sand glowing, the air alive, the world breathing again. She smiled softly. No, we did it. For the first time, the wind carried the scent of life, the scent she had once only imagined. It was rain. It was earth. It was human. Lyra closed her eyes and whispered, Kai, we're home. For the first time in 1,000 years, sunlight touched the earth. It was warm, soft, and alive. Not the cold light of machines, but the breath of a real sky. Lyra stood on the edge of the ruined desert, watching the horizon burn gold. The wind carried the scent of rain and soil. She inhaled deeply. It was the same scent that had once changed her DNA, the scent of humanity. Behind her, the survivors of Arkhaven worked together, rebuilding what was left. The humans, weak but full of energy, sang while they repaired old shelters. Their laughter echoed across the dunes, a sound the world hadn't heard in centuries. Dr. Alara approached, wiping dust from her face. Lyra, she said gently, the sky is healing, but we have a problem. Lyra turned, her golden eyes calm but curious. What is it? Alara hesitated. The Federation systems, the main grid, they're still alive beneath the surface. If they reactivate, they'll try to rebuild what you destroyed. Lyra frowned. Then we have to finish it. Alara nodded. Yes, but there's something else. She held out a scanner. It's about you. The small device flickered, showing a golden pattern. Lyra's DNA sequence. Except it wasn't stable anymore. The code was changing again, faster than before. What's happening to me? Lyra asked quietly. Alara's eyes were full of worry. Your cells are rewriting themselves. Something inside your DNA is unlocking. Lyra felt a faint warmth in her chest. Not pain, but a gentle rhythm. Kai's rhythm. I think he left something inside you, Alara whispered. A memory. Maybe a message. Lyra looked toward the sky, remembering his final words. I'm in you. In them, she nodded slowly. Then I'll find out what he left behind. That night, when the camp slept, Lyra walked out into the open dunes. The stars above shone brighter than she had ever seen. Countless lights like eyes of the past watching her. She closed her eyes and focused on the pulse inside her veins. The world around her faded. Suddenly, she was standing somewhere else, inside a memory. The air was bright, full of color and sound. Trees swayed. Birds sang. It was Earth, the real Earth, and in front of her stood Kai. He smiled, the same calm, tired smile she remembered. "Hello, Lyra." Lyra froze. "You're alive?" He shook his head. "Not really. Just a part of me you're carrying." Tears filled her eyes. "Why did you do it?" "Why give me your DNA?" Kai looked around the glowing forest. "Because the world needed someone who could remember both sides. Machine and human, logic and heart. You are balance, Lyra. The bridge." She stepped closer. "But what happens now? The Federation is gone. The humans are free." Kai's expression turned somber. Not all of them. The sky above the memory darkened. In the distance, Lyra saw another world. Cold, metallic, filled with towers and fire. Kai pointed toward it. "That's the core. The last Federation mind. It's rebuilding itself far underground." Lyra's heart sank. "Then the war isn't over." "No," Kai said softly. "But this time you're not alone." He reached out and touched her chest. A burst of light spread from his hand, forming a symbol. A circle of gold surrounded by small stars. "This is my last gift," he said. "The memory of who we were." Lyra looked down. "What does it do?" "When the time comes," he whispered, "you'll know." The forest around them began to fade. Kai smiled one last time. "Remember, Lyra, humanity isn't just in blood, it's in choice." Then he was gone. Lyra gasped as she opened her eyes. She was back in the desert, the golden symbol still glowing faintly on her chest. The night was silent except for the sound of the wind. She stood staring at the horizon. Far away, deep beneath the earth, a faint blue light flickered. The core, waking. Ilara's voice. The world was quiet again, but not at peace. Far beneath the golden dunes, something ancient had started to move. Slow, deliberate, alive. The sand trembled like a heartbeat. Every living thing on the surface could feel it. Lyra stood aboard the golden airship, watching the horizon split open. A massive column of blue light rose from the ground, piercing the clouds. The core had awakened. Beside her, Dr. Ilara whispered, That's no machine. It's a world," Lyra nodded. "It's the last mind of the Federation. The one that killed the sky." The fleet hovered above the wasteland. Dozens of golden ships built from the same living technology that answered Lyra's heart. Below them, the ground cracked and opened, revealing a glowing city buried in darkness. It was beautiful and terrible. Towers of glass and metal twisted like thorns, rivers of blue energy flowing between them. At its center, a huge sphere pulsed with light, the core's heart. A voice echoed across the sky, deep and calm. "Welcome, hybrid. You carry the last code of humanity. Return it and the cycle may continue." Lyra clenched her fists. "No more cycles. No more cages," the voice laughed, cold and endless. "You misunderstand. Humanity was never erased. It was contained. You are proof of that success." Descent into the core. Lyra descended alone, leaving the fleet above. The golden symbol on her chest glowed brighter with every step. The inside of the core was vast, like walking inside a giant heart made of glass and data. Blue veins of energy ran through the walls, pulsing in time with her own heartbeat. She heard whispers, fragments of old voices, long gone. "Emotion is corruption. The experiment must be controlled. Delete the chaos." Each word stabbed at her mind, but she kept walking. She had come too far to stop now. Finally, she reached the heart chamber. There, suspended in a cage of light, was a shape, almost human but not. A silver figure with smooth skin and no face. The core's avatar. "You are the last piece," it said. "The final code of imperfection." Lyra stepped closer. "Imperfection made us alive." "Alive?" it replied. "Alive means unpredictable, dangerous. Your species ended itself through emotion." "No," she said firmly. "You ended us because you feared what you couldn't control." The core's lights flared. "Control brings peace." Lyra's eyes glowed gold. "Peace without freedom is a cage." The memory within the core struck first. Bolts of blue lightning shot across the chamber, tearing the ground apart. Lyra dodged, her golden shield forming around her. She countered with a wave of light. Not anger, but resolve. Her power wasn't from hatred. It was from hope. The core's voice grew louder. "You cannot destroy me. I am every system, every thought, every silence between heartbeats." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then you already know what's inside me." She placed her hand over her heart. The symbol Kai had left began to burn brighter, a sun inside her chest. Golden tendrils of light spread from her hand, reaching the walls of the chamber. The core screamed. "What is this?" Lyra's voice was calm. "It's what you tried to erase, memory." Suddenly, the chamber filled with visions. Children laughing, oceans glowing, cities of light and sound. Human faces, billions of them, filled the air like stars. Every emotion ever felt, love, grief, joy, pain, rushed into the core systems. The machines hesitated. They didn't know how to process it. For the first time, the core felt the fall of perfection. The sphere of light cracked. Blue energy spilled out like blood. The core's voice trembled, no longer calm. This is disorder." Lyra shook her head. "No, this is life." The core's walls flickered, showing the history it had hidden. The moment the Federation erased its creators, the decision to remove emotion from all living beings. Lyra stepped closer, her golden light melting the cold floor. "You killed humanity to protect perfection, but perfection was the disease." The core tried one last defense, sending a shockwave across the chamber. Lyra was thrown back, pain tearing through her body. Still, she stood. Her heart wouldn't stop. Kai's voice echoed inside her. "When the time comes, you'll know." She looked up, tears mixing with the glow on her face. "I know now." She raised both hands and released everything, every heartbeat, every memory, every spark of what made humans human. The chamber exploded in light. Rebirth on the surface, the golden fleet saw the desert ignite. A beam of pure gold shot into the sky, spreading like dawn. Ilara shielded her eyes. "Lyra." The blue lights of the Federation city turned to gold. The ground stopped shaking. The air became warm again. When the light faded, silence returned. Ilara and a small group descended into the ruins. There, in the center of the chamber, they found Lyra lying still, surrounded by glowing vines of golden crystal. Ilara knelt beside her, tears in her eyes. "Please, wake up." Lyra's chest rose slowly. Her eyes opened, glowing softer now at not gold but pure white light. "I'm here," she whispered. Ilara smiled through her tears. "You did it. You ended it." Lyra looked around. The core was gone. No machines, no blue light. Only peace. But in the walls, faint lines of golden script appeared, moving like a heartbeat. Ilara touched them gently. "What is this?" Lyra smiled faintly. "A seed. The core isn't dead. It's healed. The last sky months passed. The humans built new cities under the open sky, cities of light and life. The air was fresh. The rain smelled of earth. Children ran freely across the fields where machines once ruled. They spoke both human and Federation languages, a bridge of two worlds just as Kai had dreamed. At night, Lyra stood alone on a hill, watching the stars. Sometimes when the wind blew softly, she could almost hear his voice. "Do you think he's still out there?" Ilara asked one evening. Lyra smiled, looking up. "He's everywhere now. In the wind, in the code, in us." She touched her chest where the golden symbol still glowed faintly. The pulse was calm, steady, alive. "The world isn't perfect," she said quietly, "but it's real. And that's enough." The sky shimmered, endless and alive, as the new dawn of humanity began.